Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started, I think I'll just remind you, please keep up with me on Last Word on Sports. Just go to lwosports.com and click on MLB. Pretty much all of the Giants articles are mine. Make sure to read them. I think you'll enjoy them. So it's just pretty much all of the Giants articles that you see. They should just show up on the LWO Sports page, but you may have to click on MLB. At any rate, that'll take you to the baseball articles. Well, anyway, one interesting thing that the Giants have done is that they've really stocked up on starting pitchers. You can read about that on their website. You got an article about, why the Giants stockpiled on starters this offseason. And they're just building up on depth really everywhere. That's one of their key strengths as a team. It's one of their organizational philosophies right now, but that particularly seems to be the case with starting pitching. What's interesting is that whereas in large portions of 2021 and 2022, relievers were doing the starters' work, the Giants did have a number of bullpen days. In 2023, it's likely that starters will sometimes be doing relievers' work. I mean, if they go with a six-man rotation, they're probably not going to just let every pitcher, pitch every 6 days and no more. Starters will probably be available as swingmen out of the bullpen and could result in basically a reverse of what we've seen the past couple of years, the starters taking on some of the relievers' work. I actually think it's possible that we'll see some long relief work, probably not all the time, but at least occasionally we might see that even in late game, close game situations. So, it's very rare that you'll see a pitcher throw like a 3 or 4 inning save with a 1 or 2 run lead. That's virtually non-existent, but if it was going to happen in baseball in 2023, the Giants would be the team I think it would happen with. You usually only see that in the postseason, and certainly with the Giants, Madison Bumgarner did that 2014 World Series. So, unfortunately, they don't have any starters who are clearly as good as he is, although Logan Webb, if he's at his prime, he's definitely considered their ace right now. And anyway, we might see some long relief work in late game critical situations, and we'll see what kind of saves we see. If we see, like multi-inning saves that are legitimate and they don't just count because a pitcher pitched at least 3 innings, but also because the score was real close. So starting pitching depth, that is something the Giants they made it a priority and they have it right now. I just don't know about the signing of Sean Manaea to 2 years, $25 million. I haven't heard a single real optimistic projection on him. Whether it was talking to anybody or researching, I haven't heard a single real piece of optimism on him that I can remember. And he signed to 2 years, $25 million, and that is kind of a lot of money. That'd be the only thing that I kind of have to look at and go, I just don't know about. Doing that for depth, spending those big bucks on Sean Manaea, it's just, I'm not optimistic about him. And of course, the Giants roster situation, wanting to prepare for injuries and all that, it plays a factor, but I still don't know about just booming the budget on a guy who really only serves to help them have a piece that's going to be hopefully solid in case of an injury or maybe to be a 5th starter in the rotation, a guy that only serves for that and is not really, there's no real reason to expect him to perform at a level that would match that amount of money. Just can't quite agree on that. And if they wouldn't boom their budget on legit superstars like Carlos Correa, the Twins got him for $200 million. Sure, that's a lot more, but we're just talking about proportional budget booming here, and I don't see exactly the point in a thing like this, it seems like now they're spending a lot, maybe kind of in the wrong place. But Ross Stripling, that's a much better deal. 2 years, $25 million. I'm far more optimistic about him. Much gladder to have him on the team. I think that's a great deal there with Stripling, and whether he'll be as good as Webb, I hope so. So that's the way things stand with the starting pitching and the depth of it. Even with Carlos Rodon gone, at least they're going to be likely to have adequate arms and all that. And I think one of their goals here was preparing for injury in case it were to happen. And I think just having to use the bullpen for the entire game just quite a bit over the last couple of years. But yeah, the interesting thing is that now that trend could be reversed. Well, anyway, the Zips projections are out. Dan Zimborski has written about it on Fangraphs, so you should be able to go there, find what he's written on the Zips projections for the Giants. And we've got a pretty good projection there. I have to, be honest and say they are projecting the Giants as, well, a lot of things are going to look favorable for them. It's mostly that they have a lot of adequate to good players, but just not that kind of superstar talent, and we just don't know right now where it's going to take them. But the model does project 85 to 90 wins for the Giants, and that could be enough for at least the final National League wildcard spot. So I would say that's a bit better than what I expected to see from Zips. Their projection is favorable for the Giants, although there are some weaknesses. And by the way, they don't think that Joey Bart is gonna, the system doesn't give favorable odds for Joey Bart. In fact, I think I read he was likely to strike out in a third of his plate appearances. Again, what would being in the designated hitter spot do for him? I don't know, but might be some good stuff. But anyway, the odds are looking better for the Giants than you might expect, just because of their, I would say just because of kind of the thoroughness of their roster, even if the highs are not all that high. The question then is that it is, you might be looking at a wild card spot, and that clearly they're not likely to be anywhere near the level of the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I have to be honest and just say that I think they're going to win the division again if something isn't done, and the Giants could just impress everybody. Of course, it's not like they have all those veteran players to resurge. You don't know what could happen, but as far as what we can just kind of guess, I think a good guess would be the Dodgers will win the division again. For the Giants, we might be looking at like a wild card spot for them. It's definitely a year to contend. Then you got, what are you going to do in the postseason? They're likely to have to play if they want to win the World Series, they're probably going to have to play the Dodgers or Padres at some point if they both get there. Padres, can't be two division winners, so they're going to be a wild card team if they make it, unless they somehow surprise and catch up to the Dodgers, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Dodgers would definitely beat out the Padres for the division. So just saying all that to say, when in the postseason the Giants would have to play these really powerful teams, I'm not sure. The thing they can do to rescue themselves might be to just be aggressive at the trade deadline. Of course, the Dodgers can do that too, the Padres can do that too, but if the Giants can just find a way to make a big splash at the trade deadline, just use clever tactics, come on top of everybody else, and be willing to spend for them, that could be their key to, having a really good second half of the season and then succeeding in the postseason, even if their season kind of just barely squeezed them into it. And the other thing is just like hoping for the best, because anything can happen in the postseason. Sometimes it's the underdogs that win, and might seem like we're just kind of hoping for things here, but that might have to be the way it's going to go. They do have very realistic wild card hopes, and then getting to the postseason and just finding a way to beat the more powerful teams. I know it sounds like I'm saying they have to cross that bridge when they come to it, but I think at this point they can just do the best they can do. Obviously the trade deadline they got to do the best, and maybe if they use they could use numbers and statistics and all that. They could come up with some kind of strategies in the postseason. I mean, managers have a lot of critical decisions to make during a game, and those decisions are even more critical in the postseason. So if Gabe Kapler outmanages Dave Roberts, if the Giants and Dodgers meet in the postseason, I'm just saying anything could happen there. So I'd say that's where the Giants stand. The Zips projections do apparently give them enough wins to possibly reach a wild card spot, which that'd be a good thing. And obviously no disasters can happen if Logan Webb were to struggle in the rotation or anything. Big no-no. That can't occur. Even David Villar falling into a huge slump, they're kind of building high hopes around him. Like, that can't happen. They're just disasters that would have to be avoided. Obviously, injury too. That the replacements that they have, just how solid they're going to be, we don't know until we see them. But injury is something the Giants do consider themselves well prepared for. So I would say that's where they stand. And this year, it might be a good one. We just don't know. I think that's really the conclusion for today, that we're at a point right now where we don't know enough to really be able to say anything definite about this year until it kind of rolls through, until the process kind of plays out. But I just think it's a really good thing that we have Zips in our favor right now, and that model, from what I've heard, is trusted. It is well regarded. And from what I read about the methods it uses to make its predictions, I think those are pretty good ones. So I think that you never want to sneeze at what Zips says, and it's not going to be correct all of the time. So we'll see what happens here. And unexpected things can happen, either for better or for worse, but I think that's what we got for right now, and we'll have to see where that takes the Giants. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. And, where to leave questions and comments, and I'll try to get back to you on those. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.